Hi guys, I'm Sam and we're Ghana bound, and today I have to say we're in the presence of one of the heavyweights of the real estate sector here in Ghana. Every time I get to spend time with Kofi over here, I learn so much, and hopefully you guys will pick up a lot of tips and learn a bit more about what happens in this real estate sector over here in Ghana. Kofi,
Sam,
how are you, sir?
I'm well. Thanks so much for having me.
And like I said, it's always a joy to meet with you. You're very adept with putting the right people in the right rooms at the same time. And hopefully we can pick some of your brains as to what you're doing in the sector right now,
Sure.
what you've got going on, and tell us more about your current development.
Sure, actually. So Sam, thank you for all the support that you've given us over the years. We really appreciate it. We love the work you guys are doing with Ghana Bound. It was great seeing you in London at the Ghana Real Estate and Lifestyle.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Expo.
It was
fantastic.
Good. It was good, cold, but it was good.
Cold, yeah, cold. Good and cold. And then also, you've been to the site many times. You've brought a lot of your clients through. So really appreciate that.
If we didn't believe in it, we wouldn't be in it. But it's a fantastic development.
Thank you.
The ecological side is amazing, but even without that, it stands alone. It stands out on its own, like as an amazing project in a nice area with great transport links in that area. There's a lot happening over there, right?
Yeah, it's an exciting time for Pokuase, just broadly, because you're seeing a massive infrastructure investment. Just the interchange alone is about $70 million. Right? You've got that. You've got the Achimota Mall, which is probably 5 kilometers from Pokuase Heights. You've got Fayed Hospital, which was founded by a former CEO of Koligu.
Okay.
And that's literally a 6-minute walk from the development.
So the infrastructure around your development is growing, maturing very quickly. And that's what else could people want? You want to be in an area, the prices are better, just set out from the center of Accra, where that's everything is, well, when you're in that area, there comes a price tag, but you've got all the facilities that you'd need in that area. How did you come about choosing that area? Did you know that these infrastructures were coming before you?
We did.
Okay.
So that infrastructure was developed before we even started construction.
Fantastic.
Hadn't been finished. So Accra Mall was already there, but the interchange hadn't been finished, but we could see the direction it was going.
So running through our interview today, you'll be seeing images from Pokuase Heights, and to be there, it's really serene. I know we're in Accra, but it's so quiet, so peaceful out there. And like I said earlier, there's no generators chugging around in the background. It's an amazing project.
Thank you.
Very different from the last one you were involved in.
Sure. So we had that kind of more of a high-profile development, Imensa Park, which was 200 units, townhouse development built around a 2-acre park. We got a lot of attention for that. It was a great development. But I think the price points there were a little less affordable for a lot of Ghanaians. So there are a lot of people that were excited about that development, but just didn't have the money to buy in.
I got you.
So for us, the idea of, could we hit something in terms of the quality of the finishes and offer that to a wider array of people? So that was the motivation at Pokuase Heights, was how do we make it more affordable, but not compromising on the quality of the built environment.
And who are you finding are buying on this development?
Interesting that you asked. What we've found is that it's mostly diasporians.
It is?
Yeah.
At that lower price point, it's drawing them in?
Yeah.
Okay. Men-women balance?
Yeah, there are a lot. Actually, it's probably a little bit more women than men.
Okay.
So it's probably about, it's almost 50-50.
Are you shocked by that?
It wasn't something that I had expected.
Okay.
But I think a lot of women probably just don't want the headache of having to build their own homes.
Got you.
I think still the majority of homes in Ghana are built by the owners, where you find a piece of land in Kaswa, or maybe you've got something out in Dodowa and you build yourself. It's a time-consuming and difficult process, particularly if you're not in the country. Oftentimes you're sending money to relatives, parts of that money may disappear. You come back and you haven't hit the quality. There's not a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
If you come back and you've been gone for a couple of months and you're in town for Easter and your stairs are crooked, there's not a lot you can do about that.
You're walking up crooked stairs.
Yeah, I mean, unless you rip the stairs out and do it again.
Yeah.
So I think part of the allure for Pokuase Heights is $55,000. You've got a well-finished house. You've got solar. You've got your wardrobes in place. You've got everything is just turnkey. Landscaping is already done. You don't have issues with flooding.
Mm-hmm. But your price point actually starts lower than that, doesn't it? And what's that?
We do. So what we do is we also sell the product as a shell. So you can buy into our community. It's fully finished from the outside.
Okay.
Right. So it's painted, it's landscaped, but it's raw on the inside. So you do your own tiling. You put in your toilets and your wardrobes. That's for 42,000 USD.
So we can get onto the development for $42,000. So essentially the outside, the facade is all finished, and then you can come in and put your touches into your taste.
Yeah, and what it allows people to do is to have a bit more control over their finances.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're not going to move in the house immediately. You may not want a mortgage, but you might want to have, a slightly lower price point. And then you can also finish it in your own time to your taste. So it's whatever tiles you want, and I think a lot of, I'm sure you're aware, as you move through Ghana, people, they like to express themselves through their homes. So having a little bit more control in terms of how to finish it sometimes can be helpful.
So the price point is key. How are you managing to put out such a quality product at this price point? I mean, I speak to a lot of developers and they'll get a very standard look.
Sure.
That says affordable housing. Yours doesn't look like that at all.
So I'll give you 3 points. One, our margins are thin. I think a lot of people who invest in real estate in Ghana, they expect to double their money with each house.
Right.
And our view is slightly different. We think that if we can figure out how to create a product that we can replicate and scale, then we can make our money in the volumes.
Got you.
So that's part of the story. I think part of it also is that a lot of people who are builders, they're not professional builders, right? So if you are not a builder yourself, and you have to hire one, right, then you've got that tension between the contractor and the builder. And the contractor typically is trying to get away with whatever they can.
Yeah.
So, if you don't have a performance bond in place, and you don't have a fitted contract that's enforceable, and all those things are adding layers and layers of cost, right? The contractor fails, you need to bring in another one. So what we do is we actually do everything 360 in-house. And Sam, when I say everything, I mean everything. We literally make our own concrete tiles for the porches. Right. We do our own window banding. The precast walling we produce on site, so we're not even paying for transportation.
Wow.
So any way we can squeeze money out of the process, we do. For the few things that we do import, we've got a whole procurement team that finds us the very best quality at rock bottom prices. So we're importing our shower stalls and our stainless steel hardware directly from the factory in China.
Got you.
We're importing our UPVC roofing directly from China. And the reason why we do that is that if you're buying from an importer locally, you're paying the tax on it twice.
Got you.
Right? You are also paying whatever that importer's margins are, which is usually 50%. So we can bring the product in ourselves landed for half the price of what it would cost other developers to buy locally. Things that are imported. And then when we can find local high quality talent or products, we patronize that. So a lot of made in Ghana goods. So the steel roofing is made here. Actually, even the tiles. There's a great factory in Takrady, which is actually where my grandfather's from.
Okay.
Yeah, Sekandi. So we're thrilled to patronize them. They produce lovely tiles made in Ghana. So it's really you've got to figure out what to import, what to do yourself locally, and what you can find partners of. So the windows are produced by a local window manufacturer that we work very closely with. So in terms of the specs and standards and the window profiles, we work with them. And then at some point, we might even pull them into our organization if it makes sense, so that maybe we'll invest in some of the equipment to upgrade the quality. So there are plans along those lines, but you need to have a very skilled builder as part of your development team to even come close to hitting these price points.
Got you. I got you. And you made a good point. That a lot of the time people are coming back, buying the land and wanting to build. Maybe it's the first time they've built anything since they had Legos.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
and they want to come and build a whole house and make suggestions and maybe even be on site without any real depth of knowledge into what should be happening in the physical build.
Yeah.
So we get asked a lot of the time, should I build or should I buy? It depends on your skill set.
Absolutely.
And your contractor.
Yeah, there's no right answer to that question. It really depends on what you're looking to do. But I think for most of our buyers, they just don't want the headache. And particularly if you're coming from the UK or the US, where housing prices are astronomical, $55,000 is like 2 years rent.
Got you.
So for them, it's like, okay, even if I want to build, I've got a client from DC, she bought a house from us. And for her, she's like, yeah, this may not be my dream home, but this is a soft landing into Ghana. And if I decide I want to build something in 6 years, I don't have to rent a house while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And also the other thing to think about is just in terms of being on the property ladder. Right. A lot of our people, given these prices, I think it's $900,000 average home price in Canada at the point.
Really?
Yeah, 900 Canadian.
Wow.
Like insane. So a lot of our people are just never going to be homeowners, right? But what you need if you want to get on the property ladder is to have a few cards to trade with. So you need a house that's you can afford, right? It may not be your dream house, but you buy that house, it appreciates, you use that equity to get your next house.
Got you. Okay, architecture.
Yeah, so Sam, I think one of the challenges is that people don't really know what the cost implications of design decisions are until they're halfway through the project, and then they realize that they've blown the budget because they wanted this or that. So for us, we're always thinking about what those trade-offs are going to be, and you really need to kind of understand the psychology of the buyer and be empathetic to what their needs are to make the right call.
Got you.
Right? Do you make the bedroom smaller and larger land, or do people appreciate a larger bedroom? And are there some design decisions that you could make that will make the land feel like it's larger even though it's smaller?
Got you.
Right? So it's those kinds of trade-offs. Like so with Mensa Park, we had terrace houses with Pokuase Heights, which can be kind of irritating if you're trying to access your backyard. Right? Like how do you get your yard clippings through your house if you've got a block of townhouses? You literally need to not walk through your living room, which is not very convenient.
Yeah.
Right? So for Pokuase Heights, we figured, okay, you know what? We're going to just go with the semi-detached units. None of it's going to be terrace, even at the low price point of $55,000. We decided everything should be semis. Right? So it's just thinking about what the implications of every choice is going to be, and making the trade-offs that work for your buyers.
Got you. And from our point of view, we get regular updates from our comment section, and just walking into the development, seeing the green around the homes and having that open space. The lower walls, because the diaspora don't really want the big high security and the electric fences, although you do have the security posts at the front, so everybody feels safe, but it doesn't feel like an imprisoned concrete wall. And even some of the design things that you were talking about, like the driveway becomes a storm drain, taking all that water away.
Yeah.
You really have done a good job listening or reading the landscape, and I really love taking people up there.
Well, it's easy for us because my partner is actually a phenomenal civil engineer.
Right.
And just sits down. You met Stefan, and he does the work himself. Right. So we're troubleshooting, and he's designing, and we're having the benefit of somebody who's worked at the highest levels of engineering, who's not applying these same principles. Usually, people work in the other direction, where you kind of try and make some money and then go and do high-end properties. So our interests, and for some reason we're both aligned, we're really interested in solving this affordability problem.
Got you.
Because we think there's an answer, but you've got to think about how to do it. So for us, it's that challenge. I mean, I'm sure we could probably make a lot more money building houses at Ridge.
Well, yeah. You wouldn't have to think about as many ingredients that you have on this particular development that you've got. I keep saying that because, guys, you are always on at us, and this development has dealt with everything that you've, let's say, brought up. There is green all the way around. There is links to the center of the city. It is at a lower price than you're going to get in the city. Guys, this has infrastructure already all the way around. You've got your hospitals, you've got great schools around this place. There can't be anything else that I can see coming up in this comment section apart from well done. Our followers know we talk directly with them, and
Sure.
You can see how excited I am about this development here, guys. Have a look. If you're serious about moving to Ghana, come and have a look. Can you tell us a bit more about the units and the options that you have and the price points?
Sure. So the 2-bedroom unit is kind of the standard unit. It's 96 square meters, so it's a quite spacious unit that sells for $55,000. We can get you into a shell version for $42,000. But what's unique about it is it's expandable.
Yep.
You can actually tack on a spacious master bedroom and turn it into a 3-bed. So the 3-bedroom unit sells fully finished for $72,000 USD.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then each phase has its own water, and each unit has solar power,
So we put in a modular solar system that comes standard with all the units.
and that's in the price.
Yeah, already baked in. You've got a solar panel, a battery, and also an inverter. So the thinking there is not for your primary power source to be the solar, but if the power cuts out, you don't want to have to switch on a generator just for your kid to finish his homework.
Yeah.
So you want to have that backup there. And then as your finances grow or you're interested in expanding that system, you can always add more panels.
That's awesome. While I have you here, I'd love to ask you a few questions on your opinion on the market in general, because returnees, when they come here, they really are shocked by the prices out here. And genuinely, I believe they feel that everything's overpriced. But can you maybe shed some light on what you feel the current pricing and what actually goes into that, factors that they may not know?
Sure. Well, let me approach your question from a slightly different angle.
Go for it.
I think there's always been a lot of speculation about pricing in Ghana, and the question is there a bubble? And if there is, when will it burst? So to address that issue,
Go for it.
right? When you see real estate bubbles occur, what typically happens is they're geared up with finance. Easy credit for construction projects,
Don't have that.
right? And easy credit for mortgages.
We don't have that either.
Exactly, right? Which is why I've been in Ghana in the real estate industry for 25 years, and people have been talking about the bubble, and waiting for it to burst. It ain't burst because there's no bubble.
We don't have the components to that, right?
So now what you do have is a lack of product, right? If you're going into the developed world, most of the homes are built by developers and at scale. In Ghana, I would say less than 3% of the homes that people live in are built by developers. So if you're looking to buy a house from a developer, you're already talking about a very small segment of the market, right? That segment of the market, the developers themselves do not have access to credit. They are either bringing fresh capital into Ghana or have built their businesses over a number of years, right? So the cost of their capital is exceedingly high. They're taking on title risk. If you're doing a development in Rhode Island, there's no title risk, right? You buy a piece of land, you pay for the title insurance, and you're off to the races. Here, as a developer, maybe you're buying the land 3 times, or you're in court, or so there are all these hidden costs that maybe don't add to the quality of the product, but certainly adds to the bottom line in terms of the price, because these are all things that people are going to have to incur. Labor. I mean, there are developers who are flying in tilers from Syria,
Yeah.
right? Who are importing materials from Italy, right? Now, I'm not really defending the industry. I'm just trying to
I'm not asking you to at all, yeah.
explain,
Yeah.
right, like where some of these prices are coming from. And people could, if you're in a country where people are making 20% on T-bills, they're expecting a return, right? So I can understand the frustration because you're looking at it and you're saying, well, this is what I'm paying, and the school, like the public school system isn't that interesting. I can't walk to a park. Right, there are certain things that are very common in the West that you struggle with in a place like Ghana.
But then that does lead you to look at a very small area of the market, because there is a city market here. You can get a chamber and halls, self-contained.
Sure.
And, but is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're looking for here in Ghana? So actually, we find ourselves all looking at a tiny area of the market. And as you said, all the areas are not readily having finance backed in,
sure.
which then makes it harder for you to get a mortgage over a long time. And there's things that are peculiar to the market over here that also kind of restricts the length of a mortgage. So I think maybe, would it be fair to say we're all looking at the same small area of the market, the diaspora?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So maybe think about...
The market is developing. So we're really quite honored to be able to make this $55,000 offering. And there are people that are coming from places where the houses cost $500,000. Average. Like the average house in the United States is $500,000. We're coming in at almost a tenth of that.
Yeah.
Right, with a better quality build. A friend of mine, Brad Rose, I don't know whether you've seen.
Yeah, I saw you guys live the other day.
Yeah, so he's constantly railing against the quality of the construction in the U.S. These stick-built homes, they're built with southern yellow pine. You can literally push a nail through those stud walls with your thumb.
The termites wouldn't even breathe out here with that.
Yeah, so we're building houses with concrete. So the quality in terms of how long those houses are going to last, can't compare the two.
Got it.
Right. So granted, there are some builders who are building houses that are a bit suspect, with some cracks and issues with settling and foundations and whatnot. So you need to make sure you've got a great builder.
Right.
But we're using materials that nobody would dream of using, right? And your average American suburb that costs $500,000.
Wow. I didn't know that the difference was that stark. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot more going into it than the average suburban building in the States.
Sure.
That is wild. That is wild. Any mortgage partners or facilities for this development?
Sure. Typically, buyers arrange their own mortgages. We actually just finished we did a mortgage through Fidelity Bank.
Okay.
Recently, there are a few applications that are pending with Republic Bank. But yeah, you typically can work with your bank in Ghana to get a mortgage. We require a 20% deposit for these mortgages.
Okay.
Right, which if you're talking about a $55,000 house, 11 grand.
That's nice.
To get you in. And the mortgage is typically run for about 15 years.
15?
Yeah. Nice.
And is that open to everybody, or do you need to be a citizen of Ghana, or do you know anything?
Different banks have their own criteria. So I think if you live here, it may be different in terms of the nationality requirement. If you're a resident in Ghana and you're paid here, I know with Republic Bank, they've got an 11% diaspora mortgage, which I think is pretty compelling. But they require you to be a citizen of Ghana.
Okay. Again, another barrier knocked down. That's good. That's good. Thank you for coming.
Sam, thanks. Always a pleasure.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed our episode today. Please hit that like button if you liked it today. Share it with someone that you believe should be watching this also. And hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss another episode. With that being said, see you in the next one. Bye.